Imagine the vast grasslands of Mongolia in the early 13th century. Out of these endless steppes rose a man who would change the course of world history forever. Temujin, later known as Genghis Khan. In the year 1206, at a grand council called the Kurultai, Temujin was crowned as the Khagan, or emperor, of the great Mongol state. It was here that he took the legendary title Genghis Khan, meaning universal leader. This marked the beginning of the Mongol Empire, which would soon become the largest land empire in human history. Genghis Khan was not just a warrior, he was also a master organizer. He restructured his army into a decimal system. Groups of 10 soldiers were called arbans, 100 made a zun, 1,000 formed a mingan, and 10,000 created a tumen. This allowed for efficient command and communication across the massive armies he assembled. He also created the Imperial Guard, the Kashig, to protect himself, divided into day and night protectors. Unlike most rulers of his time, Genghis promoted people based on loyalty and talent rather than noble birth. Even men from the humblest backgrounds rose to positions of great power if they proved themselves on the battlefield. At the same time, he issued the Yassa, a new code of law that forbade theft, the selling of women, and even hunting during breeding season. He granted religious freedom, protected trade, and even encouraged literacy by adapting the Uyghur script into the Mongol language. By the time of his death in 1227, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, dwarfing the Roman Empire and the Caliphate at their height. Before his passing, Genghis divided his empire among his sons, but named his third son, Ogedei, as his successor. When Ogedei became Great Khan in 1229, the Mongols unleashed their armies across Asia. In China, they crushed the Jin dynasty, capturing Kaifeng in 1232 and bringing down the dynasty entirely in 1234. In the west, Ogedei's generals destroyed the last of the Khwarezmian Empire and forced Persian kingdoms into submission. But the Mongols were not done. Under Ogedei's leadership, they swept into Kievan Rus, capturing cities like Ryazan and Vladimir. By 1240, most of Rus had fallen. The Mongols then pushed into Central Europe, defeating European knights at battles like Legnica in Poland and Mohi in Hungary. The road to Vienna was open, and Europe trembled. But in 1241, as Mongol troops prepared to march deeper into Europe, Ogedei Khan suddenly died. Following tradition, all princes of Genghis's line had to return for a new Kurultai, halting the invasion. Many historians believe this unexpected death saved much of Europe from conquest. After Ogedei, the empire entered years of power struggles. His widow, Torgene Khatun, briefly took control until their son Guyuk was elected Khan in 1246. Guyuk launched campaigns in China, Iraq, and Persia, but his reign was short. He died suddenly in 1248, possibly poisoned while marching west. His widow tried to hold power, but the empire was in turmoil. It was finally Mongke Khan, a grandson of Genghis from his son Tolui's line, who brought stability. In 1251, Mongke was declared Great Khan. He consolidated power by purging rivals and instituting administrative reforms. He taxed fairly, limited corruption, and strengthened the empire's finances. His reign marked a shift of power from Ogedei's descendants to Tolui's line, a decision that would shape the Mongol dynasty for generations. Mongke also launched ambitious campaigns. He sent his brother Hulagu to conquer the Middle East. In 1258, Hulagu's forces stormed Baghdad, destroying the Abbasid Caliphate in one of the most devastating events in Islamic history. Meanwhile, Mongke's other brother, Kublai, campaigned in China, conquering the Dali kingdom in Yunnan and preparing for the final conquest of the Song dynasty. But in 1259, as Mongol forces fought deep in China, tragedy struck. Mongke Khan died unexpectedly, likely from disease during a campaign. His death once again plunged the empire into uncertainty. Armies withdrew from campaigns and the Mongol leadership had to gather for another Kurultai. From Genghis Khan's rise in 1206 to Mongke Khan's death in 1259, the Mongol Empire transformed from a loose confederation of nomadic tribes into the most powerful empire the world had ever seen. Their lightning-fast armies reshaped nations, toppled dynasties, and redrew the map of Eurasia. Yet with every Khan's death came new struggles for power, a cycle that would eventually fracture the empire. But for that brief moment in history, under the leadership of Genghis, Ogadai, and Mongke, the Mongols stood unrivaled, masters of the largest land empire the world has ever known.